Well, Mr. George Ake joins us now. He's a legal practitioner and also a member of the PDP. Thank you for coming on this morning. Well, looking at that, yes, it's over and done with. They've sent the list, but were you also of the opinion, as some persons who we've hosted here, thinking, well, they were not to a large extent satisfied with the way that has gone, or you think, well, since it's over and done with, and they're going to have people in those ministries, they can just equally just go in there and pilot their affairs, and not necessarily the expertise won't count as such?
The point has been well made about the idea of having to send just bare lists without attaching portfolios. It doesn't assist any house, assuming they were even ready to do what would have passed as a proper screening, you know. But in the absence of that, what I found out, it lacked content, you know. It was just a mere ritual, you know. But suffice it to say that even challenging the bow and go policy of the Senate, the content of that thing doesn't make any meaning to us as the people who elected them. They said if somebody was or has served in capacity as a legislator, maybe at the National Assembly level, now they have even extended it to the House of Assembly, it means that they know the person, and then he's one of them, and maybe by way of esprit de corps that the person should bow and go. And we're saying, those 43 people came for a job interview. They all came to ask for a job. And it behoves on the National Assembly to begin to interrogate them, to begin to ask them questions that are relevant to, even if it is at the level of ordinary IQ, you know, just to see how intelligent they are, such that any ministry that can be given to, now that they have not been given any ministry, attached to any ministries, or no ministries are attached to their names, at least at the level of IQ, basic intelligence, with regard to capacity to handle, you know, national issues. You ask somebody to bow and go because you know him, the man is not asking for a legislative job. That is to say, he's used to it, that we know him, he's been doing, you know, jobs in lawmaking and all of that. The man is going to the executive, where he's going to confront challenges that are not legislative. And you ask him to bow and go. It's so the policy itself is vacuous. So there's nothing in it.
Does that in any way dampen or lower your expectation about the kind of impact they can then or will make when given those positions on security in the country?
Yeah, sure, why not? Because you see, if the people are not properly interviewed, I still insist that the people came for a job interview. If they're not properly interviewed and properly screened, because the essence of the screening is to be able to interrogate the person by way of capacity, morality, character, and all of that. And what we noticed that quite a number of them that had baggages, you know, were just simply excused and forgiven. And nobody even asked them questions with regard to, we noticed that you have this baggage and all of that. How are you going to handle it in an administration that is, you know, known for anti-corruption and all of that? And some people are not arguing that, oh, no, except when you are convicted, then you are still innocent. Are there no other people that don't even have anything to talk about? I mean, there are quite a number of people that don't have any baggage. So why do you go for those who have baggage? For you to begin to rationalize that they have not been convicted by a competent court. Then you can also go for people who are solid and don't have any baggage. That's the point.
But how much of an impact can a Minister of Defense make when they have the CNC right there, the service chiefs will be there as well? So what kind of contributions do you think a Minister of Defense can do to stabilize the politics?
You see, at the level of the executive, what they do is that they bring a policy direction of the government. The CNC, defense,
service chiefs?
Not CNC. CNC is the person who actually, you know, brings out the policy and transmits it to the minister. You know, but the service chiefs are like people who execute what they have been told, the direction of the government, the mind of the government. They wait until they see where the government is going, and they go that way. You get the point? So they are policy executors, as it were. And that policy must come from the CNC. So a defense minister is also somebody who is supposed to play a lot of advisory role to the CNC by way of giving my own experience, all I understand about this. And that is why oftentimes you go for people who are in that industry, as it were, or who are professionals. That let us do this, let us do this. And at the level of execution, the people will now know how they will face, execute those policies in the field.
There's been talk about strengthening institutions as opposed to individuals. Do you see that happening with this cabinet?
Well, it is usually a goal of every administration, or most administrations. But oftentimes it is observed in breach. You talk about, strengthening institutions and all of that. But you notice that most of the things revolve around a person. If for any reason you are saying anything that is ordinarily supposed to be altruistic, that is to say, the way forward for the country. And the institutions, say for instance security agencies, think that you are saying something that offends the personality or probably the CNC or their boss. They can go after you.
Doesn't that then suggest that there is no national
so they are not like protecting the state, but
exactly.
they are protecting the regime.
So now, if the direction of the nation depends on the whim of one individual, and that individual steps aside or leaves the office, another person comes and decides to take the nation on a different tangent altogether, where then is the nation going?
Oh, that is why it is important. That's why I said it is important for institutions to be strengthened. If the institutions are strengthened, you now find out that the country or the organization, call it organization, will be on auto drive. The person comes, it will just change with a few nuances, that the idiosyncrasies that the person brings to office. At the point in time when George Bush was in office, almost everybody who walked past him was an aggressor, kind of. By the time Obama came, he is more of a tepid person, diplomatic person and all of that. And with Trump comes with his own, personal idiosyncrasies. But the system keeps running, to an extent that he can even be investigated, even when he is at the apex of the organigram.
So how then do we strengthen the institutions?
Well, like I told you, it's work in progress. It depends on who is there. But if we have an administration that probably does not believe in that, maybe just mouths it ordinarily. The judiciary may not be as strong as they are supposed to be. The legislature may not be as strong as they are supposed to be. And talking about strength now, then it depends on what he thinks they should be doing as against what they need to do.
Take the example of the House of Assembly issues. It's some people say it's a struggle of individuals as opposed to institutions. What's your take?
Well, you see, a number of people, especially some of us lawyers, have come up with provisions of the Constitution. And you see, a man like me, I wear two caps in the sense that I'm a lawyer and I'm also a politician. I look at the Edo situation from the point of symptoms, which is what we lawyers are there talking about Section 11, or what amounts to a quorum, and can the house be declared, can the proclamation be made and executed in the night at odd hours of whatever. That is where they stop. But you see, a man like me will go back to what caused it, not the symptom, but what caused it. It's a power play. It's a struggle for structure. And I know so. But you see, at the legal side of it, I can front load my view about it, that Governor Obaseki should just ignore the National Assembly. Because the National Assembly overreached itself. They acted ultra-virus. They don't have that power. I have looked at both the Constitution, the statute books, the case laws, and I can't find where the National Assembly is empowered to begin to give directives to a sitting governor with regard to, I give you 1 week to do this or do that and all of that, especially when the matter is in court. And what the matter that is in court is a legal issue. It's a legal issue with regard to what amounts to proclamation. Can a proclamation be given several times over? The court is only the court that can say so. Because if for any reason they declare what has been given as null and void, they can now order for a second one, not the National Assembly. What amounts to what time can an inauguration be made? If the House rules are such, like what is happening now with with the National Assembly, they sit even up to into the night to be able to confirm these ministers. If the circumstances so warrant, can they sit beyond the official hours, the office hours rather, and convert the other hours to official hours? These are things these are questions of law or law and mixed law and fact. And it is only the court that can handle that. So when the National Assembly now begin to arrogate themselves the status of having to interpret what amounts to inauguration when it has been done, whether somebody wore shorts or whatever to the place when he has not been given even the house rules that shows what he can wear, whether people who have not even been sworn in are entitled to complain as members elect that are not members of the assembly. These are all questions of law that the court can only, that's what the court is there for. And the court has discharged that responsibility very well in the past. So why would the National Assembly now sit on a moral high ground and begin to say they are going to do this and all of that? In any case, the section of the Constitution which they are basing their intervention on is 11.4. 11.4 that empowers them. But there is a condition precedent to that. The condition precedent to that is that the House would not have been sitting. The business of the House would not have been. They are not conducting any meetings and all of that. The Edo House is sitting. They are approving commissioners. They are doing quite a number of things that they are supposed to do. The only thing that they are now saying is that they are not as many as they should be. Okay, the issue of what constitutes a quorum, again, is also something that the court can only interpret. I've heard Oshimole say, what are we talking about? Quorum? Quorum of what? Yes, when they talked about quorum in section 96 of the Constitution, they are talking about quorum of the House. Can we be saying that a house that has not been constituted is the House and that quorum applies to that house? That's, again, a question of interpretation.
So let's quickly look at that one. One of the provisions of the Constitution is that, look, there has to be a quorum of the House. And just as you said now, if the House has not been constituted, then there can be no quorum of a House that didn't exist.
Good. That's what I'm telling you, that in such a situation where there appears to be a lacuna, because what the Constitution envisages is a House that has been constituted. Now, we are applying that quorum on inauguration for a House that has not been constituted. It is only the court that can say, by interpretation, that is what they mean. Or it cannot apply to a House that has not been that has not been inaugurated. And again, the situation of who should, not even who should, if the court will eventually now talk about whether or not a house that was inaugurated by outside office hours, notice that I'm using this word advisedly, official hours can extend to that 9 o'clock. Office hours are probably 8 to 5 or thereabout. Then, can they, by their own resolution, their own volition, now sit up to that time? Can circumstances make them sit up to that time? Can it be said to have been valid? Any action taken at that point in time? So the point I'm now making is that what amounts to quorum is 1/3 of the House. And we're talking about nine people. Then the issue now comes. Must all of them be inaugurated?
Mr. Ike.
Must all of them be inaugurated?
Mr. Ike.
But all of them were
and
elected.
if all of them are not inaugurated, what number is adequate?
All of them were elected. and nominees, members to be, members elect.
I agree with you. But if all of them do not show up, like some of the people in National Assembly are just showing up about last week or last 2 weeks or thereabout, and they are being sworn in. So at that point in time, does the law envisage, the Constitution envisage that all of them must be inaugurated for it to be a full house? So what number can be adequate?
Now, you have said that all these things we're seeing is perhaps symptoms. And you went back to say that the root cause of this is mostly power play. I remember you saying that when you began.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering if your party, for example, were to handle the situation, because you said these are symptoms. So maybe we should go back to the root cause and try to sort it out from there. So how would your party, for example, handle this power play and the symptoms and then come to a resolution? I'm just curious.
You see, I've always said on this platform and everywhere that I have opportunity of saying anything, that compartmentalization of parties does not make any meaning in the Nigeria we have today. APC is the same thing as PDP, PDP is the same thing as APC. And that is why there is fluidity of membership.
Even though they're registered under different names. You can wake up in the morning and become another APC. And in the evening, tomorrow you are PDP. And we have seen it happen. So are you APC or PDP
what we're going to talk about is that politicians, and what we're talking about here is what we call structure. Every politician holds his structure dear to himself. And all politics are local. That is why when I had Governor Obaseki talk about how somebody can come all the way from Abuja to begin to destabilize, Edo State and all of that, Oshimole must have a structure in Edo. Otherwise, he's not a politician. What makes him a politician is the structure he has. So, but you see, it gives me an impression that Governor Obaseki is still a Princeton politician. That is what we call those days when we were growing up, Don Dirty player, just done, from what he said there, it's a beautiful argument for a managing director that is talking to, the chairman in a boardroom and all of that.
Not a politician's argument?
Not a politician. Okay, he can say, they want me to bring out money. He can get the sympathy of a few Nigerians. Yes, he said that will touch in a Senate climb. It is something that is an anathema. Why would he bring out the state money to go and give some people? But in Nigeria, he has to bring out the money. The whole idea is this. Look, I'm advising him if he's watching. The whole idea is this. When Ambode came up with his waste management, whatever. No, we have to get people with capacity. Though he now brought in these people, whether from Germany, somewhere in Europe, and they all landed. The PSPs, the people who were just generally doing it, because local government, the other local government, and all, these are party chieftains that have all these contracts. They were watching him and say, is this what this man came to? Ambode is talking about capacity. He's in his village now talking about capacity. The whole idea is that the people who are going to help you are not probably, when he says that they want him to bring out money, he can only impress people like maybe Anyoko, Balarabe Musa, maybe Feni Fanalo. If Gani Fayemi was alive, yes, Fela would have been impressed. And to some extent, Wole Soyinka. But the rest of the people are those people who can make him win election and who can stop him.
I'm just curious, are you implying that to be a successful politician, you have to, quote, get dirty?
No. You see, there's a tinge of insincerity that you have to go with in politics. From the president to the councillor. Tinge of insincerity, if not dishonesty.
So you have to lie.
I'm using that word, advisedly. You have to be able to tell them that I'm going to do this. At the end of the day, you are incapable of doing it. You even knew.
Why would you do that?
You see, it's not that I endorse it, but that is the politics we play here. The reason is this. Look, let me tell you very clearly. At the beginning of this this democracy, a lot of crooks got into politics. This Obaseki's group and all of those people, they were all like, leave this thing for them. And ominous of persons got into them. And these people have gotten all the structures. I use that word again. They have gotten all the, you need to beg them. You have to take some part of their structure. When Fashola was governor, he couldn't call meetings of politicians. The much he could call maybe local government chairman. I'm talking about local government chairman, but not party chairman of the Because they couldn't allow him. That you can't touch anybody's structure. It's like coming into somebody's company and at an AGM, you are not sitting on the table as either chairman or director. How did you happen
so,
there?
Right now, the way it is, how is he...
But I praise him for getting those number of people.
Yeah, but the thing
about... He must have gotten them somehow.
But it's not the Huru yet. The thing about that is, number one, the National Assembly, well, not even the National Assembly now. Let's stay with Edo for a little while longer.
Okay.
How do you suggest he strikes a balance? Because if he has to service the structure, because some people argue that, look, how did you get there in the first place? Is it not the same structure that you don't want to service now that got you there? What should he do to strike a balance? Because if you give an inch, they say they take a mile.
Well, you see, the godfathers are always on your trail. They are always bothered about what you are doing, what meeting you called, who attended it, what was said there, and all of that. Indeed, quite a number of the people that you call for a meeting, they first of all clear from Oshimole. Governor is calling us for this meeting 4 o'clock tomorrow. What do you think? Say, don't go. And they will not go. So he has to continue to inch into the place, begin to build his own structure, such, and at the same time be pledging loyalty. Because it's actually loyalty that brought, I mean, if you notice politicians, everybody thinks, I'm loyal, sir. That's how politicians greet each other. Loyalty. In short, one of the persons said, the loyalty must be 100% before you can be. You notice one of the ministerial nominees, while attacking the president for whatever, he took some time to thank Oshimole, who helped him introduce him to the president and he had contact and all of that. He has shown you where he's coming from. These things are all loyalty, related. And once they begin to find out that you are not showing enough loyalty, you will be given that body treatment.
From the look of things, do you think he will get the party nomination, the party ticket?
Yeah, it's a matter of how he plays his politics. Like I told you, what we are analyzing as lawyers is essentially power play, political structure.
But could he have done all of this?
Supremacy.
Could he have done all of this without the deputy governor?
No, he could do that depending on, again, how loyal the deputy governor is. But you see, what was going to play out was what he was fighting. I can see what he was fighting as a politician. Here is a situation where there are 14 people that have not been sworn in, I guess. Think about 14 or thereabout. About that number. These are people who are loyal to Oshimole. And you notice that the governor was complaining that when he conducted an election, they came and destabilized it. It was Oshimole that probably insisted, would have disqualified those people who were contesting with these people who eventually emerged and all of that. And these are his boys. And it is so that by the time he plants them at the House of Assembly, he could remove the governor from his sleep. All he requires them to do is that remove him. And you know the Constitution says a governor can be removed for misconduct. And the court has decided that misconduct is as defined by the the House of Assembly. It may be the color of your tie. That they say, no, a governor is not supposed to wear this kind of thing. And they go ahead and do that. So long as they have done it according to the process, the governor is impeached. So the man is sitting precariously on a seat that he doesn't have control over. So that is a battle of his life that he's having.
One of the issues that...
Well, they said we'll have to go now. Yeah, even though we're going to ask you, well, couldn't this have been done in second term? Why? But look, that's how far we can go. We appreciate your comment on this morning. Mr. George Ike is a legal practitioner and a member of the PDP. So we're back in a moment. Stay with us.